Depth of field refers to the areas of the image that appear clear or in focus. Using it, you can help draw attention to specific areas of a photograph. Depth of field can be modified by three things: the aperture, the focal distance, and the lens's focal length. The aperture, or diaphragm, regulates the amount of light entering the camera. The lower the aperture, the less depth of field you will have. The higher the aperture, the greater the depth of field. For example, this photograph of a lion has areas that are out of focus. This is because we're using a very small aperture, which is more open. To increase the overall clarity, we can just use a larger aperture, which closes it down a little and produces more depth of field. The picture now looks more clear and focused. Depth of field can also be modified by the distance between the camera and the subject. The shorter the distance, the shorter the depth of field. And the longer the distance, the greater the depth of field. For example, here's a penguin that we're shooting that is standing quite close to us. The depth of field is short. As we increase our distance from the penguin, you can see that more areas start coming into focus. The other thing that can affect the depth of field is the lens's focal length, or zoom. If a lens has a longer focal length, its depth of field will be less. A lens with a shorter focal length will have greater depth of field. Here's an example. Standing in the same position, if you use a 15mm lens, you'll see that the focus is quite even throughout the picture. But if you then use an 85mm lens, the perspective changes and some areas are now less focused.
GCF Global, creating opportunities for a better life.